Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Real Talk with Joe and Cody. I'm with Cody and I'm Joe. What's going on, man?
Yes. Just living it up.
I was going to say I was with Joe and there's Cody, but the whole intro thing is still getting me. I just feel so awkward. Maybe I'm just not famous enough to really be comfortable with that.
I'm just glad that you're the one that does it, because if I did it, it would be even more.
It's pretty hard. It's pretty hard. If you haven't noticed, it's pretty difficult to do these introductions. But
you pull it off.
It takes some skill. We just got done with a podcast, so anyone who is paying attention right now, join our podcast venture with Joe and Cody. We just got done recording one, and we think it's pretty funny and insightful. Yeah. And so go to
that's
our
all that
podcast.
Matters.
Yes. Go to YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all the things to go to Venture with Joe and Cody. And if you want to be on, if you are someone who thinks you don't even have to be a business owner, you don't have to be an entrepreneur, you don't have to be a city person. Just if you think you're cool and you want to share something with us, we're down to talk.
Yeah.
Will it get aired depending on how appropriate you are? Maybe not. But
right. Yeah. Yeah.
But let
we're
us
just
know.
Looking
Reach
for
out
humans.
to us. We just want to talk. So yeah, we're just kind of the weird guys that just want to talk to people.
Yeah.
But speaking of that, we already talked about my accidental 4-mile run today.
Yeah.
Went out too far in Willie and had to come back. And so I had to lug this body for over 4 miles. I want to say 4.25, but it actually was 4.17 something. So I'm trying to round up to make it sound cooler.
Yeah.
Because 4.15 is okay, really? You ran 4 miles. So 4.25 is seems a little cooler.
That's an extra lap around the track.
I was planning on doing, that's true. I was planning on doing 3, but did 4.
You're an overachiever. That's what happens.
No, I hate it. You say you love running, or you did love it. I hate it. I don't know why I do it, but I do. You were master runner in Florida.
I like it when I get warmed up. That first 5 minutes is hard and everything hurts, and then after that, I'm good to go, and I feel like I could run. My lungs have burned, and now they've kind of calmed down, and my muscle, everything's warmed up, and I enjoy it, but I have to push myself to do it because it's not fun when you first start running. So
it's easy, and easy in the sense that you can just walk out the door. And that's what's nice, is there's no equipment needed. It's just go out and do it, which is nice. And that's why I do it, is to get a quick, easy. And that was not a quick workout, 4 miles with Joe Skipper's pace. But it was a workout, but I do hate it. And I don't want to hear the runner's high. I don't want to hear
aside from
how
the runner's
amazing
high
it is, and that euphoria you feel, because maybe you have to get a certain mileage in before you feel it, but I've never felt it.
What about
is when I am done running?
Yes. Well, that's what I was going to ask. Post run, do you have that feeling of you have your run, you're exhausted, everything settles in, a couple hours later, and you just have noticeable more energy?
Yeah, I think there is that. Well, and it's accomplishment of doing it. I get that.
Yeah.
I'm just being feeling like you just did something, that is hard, but I don't get behind the whole, euphoria and the stuff like that. But I probably haven't. I'm probably not a good runner. I lug my body around. I have actually thought to myself that I need to go to an expert and see how I'm running, because it is probably embarrassing. I'm throwing my body down the road, and it's just, I think it's got to be the most unattractive run that's available. But
I need to see
it work. Yeah, now I'll just maybe we'll do a live stream, and I'll video myself and just totally embarrass myself. So
I'll drive next to you and just record you.
Oh man, I would die. I wouldn't be on camera ever again after seeing that. Sometimes when you see you'll be at a hotel. I was talking to my sister about this years ago, and you look in a mirror to the side when you're on a treadmill, and she's like, "Is that how I run?" I was like, "I think the same thing." I'm like, "Is that me? That's how I physically run?" Because I feel like I'm running like a triathlete, I'm like a runner. Everything's in motion, everything's perfect. But man, I when you glance, nothing's more humiliating than glancing at a mirror inside a gym when you're on a treadmill. But
oh boy, yep. Even just a mirror in general, you're like,
that's true.
That's what I look like, huh? I see myself so differently.
Yeah.
Or a picture.
Am I crying? I'm actually crying. I didn't even know I was crying. Like there's tears streaming down my face. Like,
Oh, yeah. It's
oh,
like
good
seeing
times.
video of yourself. You're like, that's how I sound, huh?
I
Wow,
know.
that's kind of
The video
embarrassing,
I'm
but
over. Like, I feel like I'm over the video because I have
yeah,
to do it, or I don't have to,
right.
but I enjoy doing it. But yeah, it is difficult to hear. Like the kids will play like, um, Rory will have like a YouTube, the YouTube short or something, and mine will just be an
Huh?
ad popped up or something like
Oh, I
that of
love
one
it.
of my, and I'm like, don't play that. He's like,
Yeah,
no, it's really cool. I'm like, no, it's not cool. I don't want to hear my own
right.
voice right here.
That's for
Anyways,
everybody else, not for me to
yeah.
hear.
Yes, that's for the consumers out there, the real estate consumers,
Right.
like,
Yes.
not my family.
Yeah. Don't click on that. I pay per click on that.
I didn't even think about that, but, anyways, so nothing things are ramping up anecdotally for us is like, people are jumping into spring, man. Like, buyers and
Yeah.
sellers are getting at it, at least in Willie and around the surrounding areas. We have some people in Forest Grove and Hillsboro and stuff that are looking to sell, and so, yeah,
Nice.
we've been trucking along. So, I know
Yeah.
people have been hesitant or, I've heard from a couple of people that the uncertainty with the market. They're like, what's going to happen? Do I sell now? Do I wait to see what happens with the market and things like that? But that's kind of the theme I've been getting. However, people are out looking and
Yeah.
they're looking to buy and sell. So I
Yeah.
haven't seen anything crazy happen. What about you?
No, I mean, we're seeing the interest rates continue to stabilize and slowly keep going down. So I think that's helping to push people. Even if it's not a big jump or drop,
Yeah.
it's not, they're not going up right now. And for the first time, it's starting to feel like some of the data that comes out that normally was increasing the rates, it's not making as much of an impact. And
Yeah.
so I don't know if that's just because there's other variables going on and certain things carry more weight than others, which I know that's the case, but we've been seeing more and more lately where the numbers that would come out normally would be bad for rates and they're kind of just pushing through. So that's good. I mean, it's a great time because as everybody knows, usually spring and summer are when that's kind of like peak selling and buying season.
Yeah.
So to keep that momentum going, I think is really good overall just for the market itself, but just for the affordability to slowly kind of be working its way down. So I think that's helping a lot. I think the season of things and we've talked about it a million times, but I think there's a lot of reality that rates are just not dropping down to 4% really quick. So it's just that,
That's what we've seen.
yeah, we don't want to keep waiting. We've just accepted it. Maybe they've spent the last couple years saving their money, working on their credit, fixing things, getting themselves to a position where they can move forward and just say, all right, this payment is higher than what we want, but we can't just keep sitting around and waiting. And if we
For
can
sure.
refinance in a couple years and it's better, great. But we're prepared to take this on and take that next step. So I think there's a lot
Yeah,
of
I
that.
guess with that uncertainty, generally, and you've talked about this before, is there's an inverse relationship with the market or how the economy is doing versus the rates, correct? So, um, you know, the rates go down as the economy goes down, right?
Yeah.
No, yeah. So not
Yeah.
inverse relationship. No. Well, inverse if you said economy bad, rates good. That would be an
Right.
inverse relationship,
Sure.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But rates down, economy down probably isn't the best way to compare it. But
Yeah.
what with I guess like what I've been hearing, and I don't know the answer, but it's that insecurity of it, of
Hmm.
what's going on with the tariffs, what's going on with that sort of stuff. Um,
Yeah.
do rates react to that stuff, or is it more of like are even the rates like I know they're not a living entity, but are they? Is everything kind of waiting in that same boat? You're saying that everything that indicates an up or a down in the market is kind of the rates are just kind of staying the same. Are you seeing that that this is all everything's in kind of this limbo before we
Yeah.
see exactly what happens or
That's
or
kind of what
what?
it feels like. Like there's still so many big changes that are going on. I mean, we've seen some massive bad days in the stock market.
Yeah.
A lot of times that tends to help rates because every time that there's the bad, whether it's jobs, economy, anything like that, typically it makes interest rates better.
Yeah.
Um, and so we've seen some just a bad streak with the stock market, and I think it's probably helped the rates, not not to a degree of what maybe it would have done in the past, where it's like, oh wow, a really bad day for the stock market, and we saw a good improvement on the rates. But I think it's just like there's so many big variables right now that I think they're offsetting each other. Certain things are balancing it out. Haven't really seen a lot with the tariffs directly, that from what I have read.
Yeah.
And maybe that'll change a little bit here, because I think the auto tariffs are supposed to go into play on tomorrow, maybe. So we'll see. Maybe that's more of just like a sit and wait and see how it impacts things, because inflation is one of the big drivers of rates going up. And with the tariffs, that's, that causes inflation. So we'll kind of see if does it balance it out with the other stuff? It's hard to really know, but I think we've seen probably 5 weeks now of rates going down and continuing to improve, and then they'll stabilize for a week, and then they get a little bit better. So it's the first time in a long time that we've been in this spot where you can kind of like take a little breath and not feel like, oh, what's tomorrow going to look like? Is it going to be awful? And now tomorrow will be awful because I just said that. But that's how it's felt for such a long time. And now it's like, hey, maybe we're finally getting to this point where we've taken that like first step down to lower rates, and maybe that'll stabilize for a while. Maybe it'll keep going down, but
yeah, it'll be interesting. A couple of sellers that we're working with are nervous about selling. They kind of like want to sell now because it's just like they don't know what's going to happen, with housing prices and things if things continue or if something happens. So it's interesting, but people have to sell when they have to sell, and that's what we always advise is like you have to buy when you have to buy and you have to sell when you have to sell. Honestly, if you're a long-term investor, then you can sit and hang out. But if you need to move for whatever reason or buy for whatever reason, you got to do it. So you got to work with what you got. So
and I feel like that's a lot of people's case right now. So they're like, man, that payment's definitely more than what we were hoping to do, but we're just going to have to move some things around because we can't keep renting. We don't want to keep renting. The landlord selling the house, whatever it might be. That it's just, I think everybody goes through that, whether it's the payment that you want. Most of the time it's never like, wow, this payment is less than what I was paying before, so this is great. Sure. There's always seems to be some type of bump up for the most part, unless you're downsizing and you're just, you're taking 20 years of equity and you've got a $80,000 mortgage now. But I think most people are they're just getting to that point where it's kind of sounds bad, but it's like choosing the lesser of the two evils. Like, do I want to rent and pay more than I want to rent, or do I want to pay more and buy and have something that I can walk away with and build some wealth over time? So
for sure. And Willie, it's year over year, it's increasing and increasing, like the listing, the selling prices and things. So, it is a sound investment. It's just what you can handle for your monthly payment.
Well, and the population, I know Eli asked me the other day, or no, Zeke asked me about like how often people die. And I'm like, well, I think people are dying like every, I don't know, second or something. I know people are being born all the time. So then I looked it up because I'm like, well, now I'm really curious. I think that the data that I saw was from like 2021, but essentially the birth rate to the death, there's twice as many births happening per day as there are deaths.
Oh, really?
So I think, and again, that was 2021 data, but all that to say, we're always going to have, I think, a housing shortage. I mean, if we're adding twice as many people than we are like leaving people, sure, we're never going to have enough houses for everyone. So there's always going to be a demand, which means prices are likely always going to, most of the time, continue to appreciate. But
yeah, it's very specific to your area. I think you can't go in blindly and just say a house is going to be worth it. And that's, why it's important to have an expert real estate agent. Hint,
that's right.
Hint.
Yeah, right.
It's funny, before I let you go, it's just so funny. I've had a couple people lately shopping around for real estate agents. Totally fine, and you should, because sometimes it's not even just their ability or whatever. It's whether you get along with them or not. Do you find a lot of shopping around for lenders? Like, do you find?
Yeah, I feel like more lender shoppers tend to be shopping for the dollar, whether it's rate or the fee. I don't feel like there is as much like, I just don't really like that person.
Yeah.
And there that does happen.
Yours is just
where
all
they
monetary. Like yours is monetary. Obviously, I think there's more.
Yeah.
There's more important things than just that, but the average consumer doesn't think of their lender as needing to be their best friend and mentor them as they go along at their
and we all, I think as lenders, we want that to be we want it to be where we're building a relationship and a trust and everything. I think that some buyers, sellers, whatever you want to label them as, do appreciate that and want that. And I think for others, it's just a transaction. And so the ones where it's just a transaction tend to be more transactional with the numbers. So they might get 3 or 4 different quotes. Other people, they might not shop at all because they're like, I like you, I trust you, you answer your phone, you walk us through everything. Like you're the go-to guy. And others, they're like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Because I'm just using you as essentially like a bank. And so I want the best deal, and that's all that matters to me.
It's interesting because I think historically it's the people pick their agent first and then their lender. And I think it should be opposite.
Yeah.
Like, honestly. Like,
sure.
Because it's the agent is once you figure out you can afford a place. Like, you know, and once you're kind of looking actively. But it's weird how people have not associated a lender. I think people are more afraid to call a lender. Almost like and I think it's because of the financials. This is my personal belief, is I think that they feel like they have to give their life away a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
And they don't want to do it unless they're really serious. And I'm like, getting pre-approved, maybe it's because I'm around it a lot, is not a big deal. Like, that's the first thing you should do. It should do before you shop around for me. Like, you know, you should shop around for Cody and be like, hey, what's the numbers I can afford? Then you go to the agent. Hey, I can afford X. Let's go shopping. But it's weird how our society, almost, I don't know, almost always, right? Like it's the agent, then the lender. Like,
it's very rare that very rare that they come to us first. It's usually, we love this house. We reached out to an agent to see if we could look at this house.
They said get pre-approved, and now we're getting pre-approved. And it's like, just I think if people understood, maybe this is your next goal. If they understood how easy it was and how I don't want to say it's non-committal because, you know, obviously there is a commitment to the lender that you're talking to. However, it is pretty non-committal to just get pre-approved. Like,
it's very non-committal, and like I want it to be committal, but it's very non-committal.
Yeah, for sure. And I just think if people understood how easy that was, that would be the first place they'd go to say, how much Cody, how much can I afford? And then you're like, hey, you can afford this. And then you say, Joe, I can afford this. Let's go look at houses in this price range. Makes
totally. And
sense.
And I think a lot of it, especially for those that are intimidated by it and scared and maybe don't want to hear what they think is going to be the answer. A lot of times it doesn't even have to be a full-blown, give me every document you have. It can be a conversation.
For sure.
Give me a general idea on what you think your credit is, or maybe you know what your credit is, how much you make, how much are your debts. Like we can just do some chicken scratch here and say, here's roughly what it looks like you might be able to qualify for. And if that number is lower than you want, then it's like, okay, cool. I'm going to keep working on stuff. Or most of the time it's, I don't know if I can, you know, I know that this is going on or this. Most of the time people, if they do have to work on something, it's pretty minimal.
For sure.
Unless, you know, like you get some people that are like, I know my credit's like in the 400s. All right, well, let's start setting up a game plan here, you know, get you here in the next couple of years. But most of the time people are going to qualify. It just might not be what they want to qualify for. But most of the time it's like, you're still going to likely qualify for something. And then it's a matter of, do we add a cosigner or do we start paying off some debt so that you can qualify for more? But
for sure, it's just got to get
it's intimidating.
Yeah, I think that's the case. I think it's easy to talk to an agent because they don't have to give up anything, you know, at first until they get to know them. And a lender, they feel like this is like, I got to pour out my life's struggles or my life's success in front of someone I don't know. So either way, it's fine. I just think it's like easier to go lender first. But
yeah, I agree.
I'm fine talking to people before the lender though. So
yeah.
Anyways, my man. Well, yes, anyone that is listening, go to Venture with Joe and Cody. Watch our podcast. If you want to be on it, ask us, and we're down to have you on. I think we're
jump on.
So, okay. Well, till
taking
next
over the
week,
world. Yes.
I will. We'll chat with you later.